Inflation, as Ed O'Keefe suggested before, is at its highest level in nearly 3 years. That's in part, quite considerable part, to energy prices keep going up. Why? The war with Iran. In April, the Consumer Price Index, which, as we all know, is a key inflation indicator, rose annual rate 3.8%, up from 3.3% in March. I am joined now by Arjun Murti. He's a partner at the firm Veriten, which focuses on the energy sector. Arjun is also the author of the much-read, energy-focused Substack newsletter, Super Spiked. Arjun, we know the linkage.
Yes.
Break it down for us. The linkage between higher global energy prices and what every American does and feels everywhere down their economic life.
You know, the simplest explanation I can give is the strait staying closed. And as you pointed out in prior segments just now, it's been promised it's going to open any day now, yet it's still closed. That disruption is going to feed through to higher oil prices, ultimately, therefore, higher gasoline prices and inflation. The market is at all-time highs, the S&P 500 and other stock markets. It's buying into the rhetoric that, hey, it's going to open any day now, yet it stays closed. And every day that strait stays closed, people can expect inflation overall fed through energy and gasoline prices to be higher, as I think we saw in today's print that you're referencing.
Arjun, the president said today oil prices were only $99 a barrel. He thought they could be higher. Well, I'm sure as an abstraction, yes, they could be higher. But $99 is still pretty high.
It's high. I will say most energy experts, I put myself in this category as well. If we were told that there's going to be a 10 million barrel a day net supply disruption out of the Middle East, we would have thought oil would have been perhaps even $150 to $200 a barrel. In part, it is only 99 or 100 because of the shale oil revolution. And as a country, we are significantly less dependent on the Middle East. Last year, also China, which is the world's largest oil importer, built up a lot of strategic petroleum reserves, perhaps in anticipation of a conflict. Who knows the reason? But at least for the time being, they've also been in better shape to withstand this major disruption. But that's just simply buying time. If this thing lasts into the summer or into the fall, I think you're going to see those much higher prices that people had been expecting all along. And again, higher oil prices very directly means higher gasoline prices.
And Arjun, when the president says, as he has so many times, when this is over, everything will come immediately down. Is that true? Because I've read lots of analysts who say there's sufficient damage to infrastructure in the Gulf and around the Strait of Hormuz that it's going to take a while to repair all that damage and restore, as you mentioned, that 10 million barrel per day loss of energy supplies.
I got to be honest, the simple truth is I don't think people know what the extent of the damage is. There's been some reported damage to the LNG facilities in Qatar, but in terms of oil fields and how quickly they come back, I think it remains a major uncertainty. I think the president is partly correct in that if we truly did have an opening, let's just say tomorrow, you would see the price of WTI oil and therefore gasoline prices fall by some decent amount. But if you remember, prior to this war, there was expectation of major oversupply, perhaps $50 oil and sub $2.50 a gallon gasoline. I don't think there's any scenario where we're going back to those kind of very low levels. So there is an expectation there's going to be at least some disruption. There's going to be some ongoing geopolitical risk premium. And the world has, I think, forever changed as a result of this war. So yes, in the short term, if the strait opened tomorrow, oil and gasoline prices would probably come back down, but not go back to the previous levels. And then when we look forward, I think risk reward for oil and gasoline does remain skewed to the upside relative to what would have been the case absent any war.
Arjun Murti, great stuff. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.